ولا تكونوا كالذين قالوا سمعنا وهم لا يسمعون إن شر الدواب عند الله الصم البكم الذين لا يعقلون ولو علم الله فيهم خيرا لأسمعهم ولو أسمعهم لتولوا وهم معرضون.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome
Anybody
you to
here?
the 19th edition of the SOT events, Co-Creating Tomorrow, Humans, AI, and the Future. The SOT event series, launched by Beacon House 25 years ago, has long served as a platform to bring global communities together in conversations that shape the future of our schools and our societies. This year is especially meaningful. As we celebrate 50 years of Beacon House and 25 years of SOT events, today becomes both a moment of reflection and a reaffirmation of our shared commitment to co-creating the future ahead. It is now my honor to introduce the Master of Ceremony for today's event, Mr. Talat Hussain. Mr. Hussain is one of Pakistan's most distinguished journalists and media professionals. His work spans global outlets including CNN, ABC, Time Magazine, the New York Times, and the Los Angeles Times. He is also a former editor of the news and has founded and led 3 television channels in Pakistan. His reporting career has taken him to some of the world's most challenging conflict zones, occupied Kashmir, Afghanistan, and Gaza, where in 2011 he spent several days in an Israeli prison while on assignment. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Talat Hussain to formally begin the event.
Auzubillahiminashaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Delighted to be here, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and members of the Beacon House community. It takes an AI to tell you smilingly that I spent time in Israeli prison as if I was taking a tour, history by night in Lahore fort. But that's how AI works. It has everything except sense of humor. Welcome to SOT 19, themed Co-Creating Tomorrow. Humans, AI, and the future. This year holds special significance as we celebrate 50 years of Beacon House and 25 years of SOT events. This is a moment to honor our journey and reaffirm our commitment to the future we are shaping together. I am also personally celebrating 21 years of association with Beacon House as a parent and 20 years of association with Beacon House as a well-wisher and sometimes as a well-meaning critic. So it also is a very important occasion for me. Since its launch in 2000 as Rethinking Education, SOT has grown into one of Pakistan's leading platforms for public dialogue, expanding its reach globally through hybrid and virtual editions. Today, SOT continues to bring diverse voices to the forefront, inviting open conversation on ideas that influence our world. SOT 19 convenes an exceptional audience, some of which are sitting here, and again, we are delighted that all of you could come together. National and international dignitaries, eminent educationists, policymakers, senior government officials, media representatives, teachers, students, Beacon House leaders, and alumni, as well as school heads and regional directors from across Pakistan, South Asia, and the MENA region. This year's theme reminds us that the future is not fixed. It is co-created through human creativity, choice, and collaboration with AI technology woven into evolving fabric of society, culture, and education. Thank you for joining us as we explore and imagine the future together. Normally, I extempore, I do not read from the text. But in respect of time and considering the fact that we have great speakers waiting for us to join us, I have to really read whatever was given to me. Just a line on AI. We don't have a problem with artificial. We humans know artificial. Artificial limbs, artificial heart, artificial lungs. You drive into Lahore and artificiality hits you in the shape of larger than life ducks floating in water, daffodils or whatever they are called, which don't really exist. And of course, swirling dervishes, which ironically are not swirling, they're static and they're red. Normally they are white. So we don't have a problem with artificiality. We don't even have a problem with intelligence because we are intelligent people. We have, however, a problem with artificial intelligence that is constantly expanding. Can we really co-create a future with expanding artificial intelligence as our partner? I think that's going to be the cross-cutting theme. Let me now move to our virtual keynote address, which will be delivered by none other than the father of modern AI. So you would get to meet the guy, Mr. Jürgen Schmidt-Huber, who will deliver on deep learning and the future of universe. He is known as the father of modern AI. The NYT New York Times described Mr. Jürgen as somebody who would be called dad when AI matures, whenever that would be. I think NYT is still working on who would AI, when it matures, called mom, but that's for NYT to investigate. So he is going to take us through a remarkable abbreviated journey from the Big Bang Theory to the current day. And just to let you know that he has created all the relevant abbreviations that all of us are so fond of, which is chat, G, and P, and T, A, I. And this he has done through his remarkable lab called STM. So you could see a long line of abbreviations. So he awaits to enlighten us. And following his virtual address, I will request Mr. Nasser Kasuri, a friend, and also the Executive Director of the International Division at Beacon House and CEO of Beacon House International College, to come onto the stage. This college, by the way, leads transnational education programs with top British universities. He also heads Beacon House Energy Limited and oversees Homebridge, which is Beacon House's first fully online school. He contributes to national education from reform through UNICEF's Pakistan Advisory Council, and he is the chair of Tech for Pakistan, a man of many laurels. So he will automatically come onto the stage and have a little Q&A with the dad of AI. So let's go to the dad of AI.
For the kind introduction. Can you hear me? Wonderful. I have a feedback loop, so I hear back what I'm getting with a seconds delay. I hope that is not a problem. Salam, it's very fun for me to invite it here, and I will be talking about artificial intelligence, which is going to change every single aspect of our civilization. Let me first put AI in its historic context. And when I say historic defining some other. It's not good enough. It's not good enough to do the things that you can do, which is AI in the middle, middle robots and physics machines. For that, we need something that is much better than just a large language model. The current large language models from ChatGPT, they are incredibly innovative, but they don't learn like babies do, and they can't do all the things that little kids can learn. A little baby doesn't learn like I'm doing with the web and then with the next token. No, a baby learns by creating its own self-identity patterns, action sequences that lead to data that is organic and is learning to understand the data, and that's how its models work. And we have now tools that let us building a model as well by generating actions. For example, a baby does this, it moves its head like that, and then the video does something else. Over time, it's a change, and the baby learns to predict how it changes, and that's how it learns how physics works and how the world works. it's going to be permeated by intelligence in a way that we hardly can begin to imagine. But there is no way of preventing that, except if we mess it up before it even smells to a nuclear war or something. And of course, we will have evolution of competing and cooperating isolated societies with incredible consequences, not only for our little lives here, but for the entire cosmos. But the good thing is, the near-term side effect of all of that is that our AI here on this planet, in our little lives here, is going to continue to make human lives longer and healthier and easier. Thank you very much for your attention. I am told that now there will be some time for questions. Is that correct?
That's right. Thank you, Dr. Jurgen. So we do have a few questions from the audience, which I'll ask, and thank you for a very interesting talk. So the first question is, if machine intelligence shapes the future of the universe, what place do human values have in that picture?
That's a very good question. And my first question would be, what exactly are the human values? Because if you put 10 people in a room, they will have 10 different opinions about what's good for them and for humanity in general. And of course, you have today in many societies, human values that are quite different from the human values 1,000 years ago. So these human values, they change. The human values, they reflect usually what's good for the societies where these human individual persons live. And now, if you look at the history of philosophy and the history of ideas promoted with the big religions and by philosophers and sociologists and so on, you will see there have been dramatic changes. And it's very hard to predict what's going to be the future values of organizations. Of course, currently we have situations where certain human values totally conflict with other human values. For example, we have a war happening between Russia and Ukraine, and on the one hand, humans think it's a good idea to kill the others, and on the other side of the fence, you have the same thing for the other fighting nation. So, what we can observe in history is that values change all the time. The future of AI society values is going to be defined in many ways by how useful these values are for the societies in certain regions of this expanding sphere. And you will get lots of different values nowadays. On the other hand, it is clear that this doesn't mean that humans will vanish or something. No, nobody is interested in terminating, like in these Schwarzenegger movies, in terminating other intelligent creatures because the Terminators are cleverer or more intelligent. No, we still have humans are much more intelligent than ants. Still, on this planet, in this biosphere, there are many more ants than humans still.
Okay, a good point. I mean, human values are always in flux and changing, and often at loggerheads with each other. So, you spoke about self-replicating machines, and there's also, along with all the positives, there's a lot of people feel that there's potentially an existential threat to, the human species as a consequence of the growth of AI. So do you feel that certain safeguards need to be put in at this stage to ensure that humans are maybe not supplanted? And would that even be such a bad thing if it were to happen, really?
Yeah, so we have to do the process and see that the experiment, the most famous AIs, are actually super biased towards humans. Why is that? Because they were trained on all the data that they can find on the World Wide Web. And why is the data there? Because when you put a start, it's interestingly enough to be put on the moon. Which means that all these current AIs, what do? They run essentially very parts of data on other parts of data. For example, predict the next word in a chat from the previous chat. So there's a tremendous bias towards human language, towards human thinking, towards human design, images and movies and whatever, which means that the current AIs are super biased towards humans. Yes, you often hear that they are more biased towards certain kinds of people than towards others, but generally speaking, they are super biased towards humans. Now, of course, once you have AIs that are not just slaves to imitating the human-generated data, but that generate their own data through their self-invented experiments, like little scientists that pursue doors and remote parts of space where there are no humans at all, then of course you will have very different kinds of AIs. However, all the AI scientists, the artificial scientists among these AIs, they are going to be super interested in all origins in civilization, in the origins of civilization, in biological life, and they will be super interested in all of that. And they will want to understand. And that will actually give them a motivation to protect life rather than destroy it.
Okay, fair enough. Absolutely. Let's hope so. Uh, you spoke about AI, making potentially helping to make human lives longer and healthier. So, what are some of the near-term medical advances that excite you?
Already in 2012, Lilly in Switzerland has won for the first time a medical imaging recognition contest. What was that about? Well, we had images through the microscopic images of slices through the breast, the female breast. And then normally you need a trained histologist
Thank you. So yes, medical diagnosis certainly is one of the earliest applications of AI in making dramatic change. Thank you, Dr. Jurgen. That was a fantastic talk, highly enlightening for all of us. Thank you for taking time out to be with us. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me warmly welcome the distinguished chief guest for today's event, Excellency Madam Mariam Aurangzeb, who is the Senior Minister in the Punjab government, a person that I have known for a very long time, a lady of multiple competence, and a woman for all seasons, particularly the fog season. She inundates our mobiles with daily dosage of how Lahore's fog is coming down. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Glad you could make it here. Let's rise for the national anthem. There's something about our anthem, honestly. It should not be sung, it should really be felt, and gives you goosebumps every time I listen to this, which is such an honor and a delight. Let me, for the welcome address, invite Mr. Qasim Kasuri, who is the chair of SOT Events and CEO of the Beacon House School System, one of the world's largest school networks. He founded TNS Beacon House, a pioneer of project-based and inquiry-driven learning in Pakistan, and has expanded SOT into a global platform for future-focused dialogue. He's also the founder of Ambience, a boutique art hotel network, and a young global leader of the World Economic Forum. Mr. Qasim Kasuri.
Good morning, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Talat. Honorable Senior Minister of Punjab, Ms. Mariam Aurangzeb, Honorable Federal Minister for IT and Communications, Telecommunications, Ms. Shahda Fatima Khwaja, Ministers, speakers, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for being here this morning. It's an honor and a privilege for me to welcome you to the 19th edition of SOT Events, Co-Creating Tomorrow, Humans, AI, and the Future. As some of you may know and may have been wondering, we were hoping to welcome our Chief Minister today, but we are equally delighted to have with us the Senior Minister Punjab, the other second most important Mariam in the Punjab. So it's an honor to have you with us. And of course, the most trusted lieutenant of the Chief Minister, as we all know. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to start with a short video from Mrs. Kasuri, the chairperson of Beacon House, who unfortunately had to leave in a bit of, emergency and is not here with us today. So we'll start off with her video message, and then I will continue with my speech. Do we have the video message ready?
Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to the 19th edition of SOT Events Co-Creating Tomorrow, Humans, AI and the Future. I would have loved to be there in person but have unfortunately had to travel due to an urgent family commitment. Today's gathering is especially meaningful for us at Beacon House because we mark 50 years of a journey shaped by faith, courage and commitment. It is befitting that the milestone comes in the same year that an SOT completes 25 years on a platform of inquiry, dialogue, and now ideas. The last 5 decades have taught us many things, but perhaps the most important is that learning is never static. The world changes, and so must the ways in which we prepare our young people to navigate it. Education cannot remain still while the world moves forward. It must remain in step with the forces shaping our society, our economy, and the lives of our children. As I look back to our beginnings in 1975 and the Beacon House of today, I am reminded that each generation faces its own challenges. Today we stand at a challenge that challenges humanity itself. Technology and artificial intelligence, in particular, are reshaping how we live and how we learn. This year's theme invites us to look ahead with clarity, curiosity, and adaptability. We cannot predict everything that lies ahead, but can prepare with purpose. Over my lifetime, I have seen education evolve through many phases, from handwritten registers to digital platforms, from blackboards to interactive screens, from computer laboratories to handheld devices, and a world connected through the internet. At Beacon House, we have always believed that technology should strengthen learning, not complicate it. That belief is guided our early steps, beginning with Beacon House Informatics in the 1990s, which introduced internationally recognized IT education. In the early 2000s, we developed the enhanced learning environment for our early years, followed by ETech, emerging technologies across the curriculum, which brought tools such as robots and digital microscopes into the classrooms. Over time, the efforts shaped what is now the Beacon House EdTech ecosystem across our schools. Through all of our commitment has remained constant. Technology must enrich and education, but it should never define it. Artificial intelligence offers extraordinary possibilities and equally responsibility and challenges for the educator. The question is not how powerful these tools become, but how wisely they are used. Education has always been a profoundly human endeavor. As learning becomes more digital, that human connection becomes even more important. Artificial intelligence must be coupled with human empathy. We also know what the future of learning cannot be separated from the future of our planet. Sustainability must guide how we design learning, how we build our campuses, and how we understand our responsibility to the world our children will inherit. And that is why SOT events continue to matter. Their conversations remind us that the future is not something to be predicted, it is something to be shaped collectively and with courage. I hope the conversation at this 19th edition of SOT events will continue to challenge, inspire, and help us think more deeply about the kind of world we want to create for our children, our society, and our planet. Thank you all for being here, part of this ongoing journey of co creating tomorrow.
Thank you. Um, so, ladies and gentlemen, some of you may know, and I was just briefing the senior minister also and the IT minister, that we recently celebrated 50 years of Beacon House on the 4th of November in Islamabad, which, as Mr. Talat Hussain mentioned, also happened to be the 25th anniversary of SOT events. So SOT events, in fact, started in the year 2000 with an event in Islamabad called Rethinking Education, which was then graced by General Musharraf and a very radical educator called Roger Schank, who challenged all of us in terms of what education means. And so that conversation, which started 25 years ago, has been shaping the way in which we think about education, the way in which we think about learning. A lot of people often ask me why we organize these events, this great extravaganza over 2 days with 30 different sessions and a lot of other stuff happening. Because, you know, frankly speaking, a lot of time, effort, and unfortunately, money does go into it. Sometimes the heads even say to me that, why don't you spend this money on the schools instead? And it's a valid question, but for us, the answer is very simple. We believe that we have a big responsibility at Beacon House as educators, which is to try to understand the trends of the future. And the future has never been more uncertain. I know a lot of young people, I was just telling the senior minister, who are extremely confused today. Kids who are in school, kids who are in university, they literally do not know what they're going to do in the future because of the advent of AI. So we believe that it is our responsibility as educators by organizing conversations like these, to try to understand those trends and to try to better prepare young people for what is really a very, very unknown future. And to ask the right questions. I mean, frankly speaking, at the end of these 2 days, it's not like we're going to have the answer to everything and suddenly you'll all walk out and change the world. But the important thing is that we need to ask the right questions in order to try to get the right answers. We need to challenge ourselves. We've been actually asking these questions for a quarter of a century. And I do want to share with you that there have been a lot of tangible changes at Beacon House as an outcome of this SOT journey, which started 25 years ago. I mentioned Roger Schank. So we started talking about experiential learning, so learning by doing, project-based learning. There was a lady, Mary Louise Hawley, who got us thinking about professional learning communities. There's been a systemic adoption of technology across Beacon House since the early 2000s. The launch of TNS Beacon House in 2007 is directly related to an SOT that happened in 2005. The entire IB phenomenon in Pakistan, and when I say Pakistan, I don't mean Beacon House Pakistan, I mean Pakistan, is credited to indirectly to the SOT, because it's the SOT that inspired TNS, and TNS that, to be honest, inspired what we see as the IB today in Pakistan. A lot of the environmental and sustainability initiatives at Beacon House, because the environment has always been a key theme at the SOT. Inclusion and student well-being initiatives, these are things that we've spoken about. An inclusive future has been a key trend at the SOT for the last 2.5 decades. The fact that we are the first Google reference school in Pakistan. These and many other, I don't want to bore you by and sound frankly like a bit of a braggart, by listing out 20 other things. But these are all things which have happened, which have challenged us, challenged our thinking due to conversations that have happened in halls like these. But the other thing, the other important thing that happened is that 10 years ago, so yes, the SOT event series started in the year 2000, but for the first 15 years, it was largely for the Beacon House community. But 10 years ago, in 2015, we opened it up to the public. So the great thing is that other than this opening session, all the other 29 sessions of this event today and tomorrow are open to anyone, whether they are from Beacon House, they are from another school, private school, public school, corporate sector, development sector, government. We welcome everybody to attend. Because this is what it means when we talk about co-creating tomorrow. This is really what we're talking about. Because co-creating tomorrow can only happen if we are talking with each other. Co-creating tomorrow cannot, obviously be done by any one organization on its own. Ladies and gentlemen, the other thing which I just quickly want to talk about today is actually Beacon House, not just SOT, because after all, we have just completed 50 years of Beacon House. And I do want to add that prior to Beacon House, or to the establishment of Beacon House, education in Pakistan was nationalized. And education standards, frankly, had collapsed. There were just a few people, influential families, which could gain admission into some of the handful of elite schools that were set up pre-partition. But Beacon House changed all of that in 1975 because it made quality education accessible to pretty much everyone, starting with middle and upper middle income families to lower middle income families. It also launched a new breed of teachers who were trained teachers, because from the 80s and 90s, Beacon House started to talk to international universities to come to Pakistan and to train teachers, and later on to train our own trainers. Today, we have nearly 400,000 students who study at our schools across Pakistan and in 5 other countries. So actually the nearly 400 is from my previous speech. It's now 404,000. So it's above 400,000. And these students are in Beacon House, in the educators, and in our other networks. What is really important, though, what is more important than Beacon House, is that the launch of this school called Beacon House Public School, that's what it was called way back then, inspired hundreds, if not thousands, of other women entrepreneurs to come into this field and to set up private schools. And many of those private schools are very large now, as we all know. And I'm very happy to have representatives of some of them here with us today. So I think that it's fair to say that Beacon House and schools like Beacon House have had quite an impact in Pakistan. This is an impact that has led to the raising of education standards across the country. It has led to countless opportunities for international education and employment, women's empowerment through unparalleled employment across the country, not just in our schools. I mean, Beacon House alone employs about 18,000 people, most of whom are women, most of whom are teachers. And of course, you can imagine collectively how many women are employed by private schools and the kind of opportunities that has created. And all in all, I think it's fair to say that private educational institutions have had a major impact on the economy and have contributed to the national economy of Pakistan. So I just wanted to, especially because we have honorable representatives from the government here today, it's just a point that I wanted to highlight. Which is that the contribution of Beacon House is not really just about Beacon House. It is about the entire private education sector. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite you to attend some of our sessions over the next 2 days. Sessions, panel discussions, keynote talks, workshops. There's a film screening as well. And I hope that we all at least try to ask the right questions if we are going to be co-creating this future together. So before I conclude, I want to thank our sponsors. I will be speaking about them further in the panel. And of course, the organizers of SOT 19. I would also like to take this opportunity to wish Mr. Nasir Kasuri a very happy birthday. He's not very happy that the SOT has hijacked his birthday, so my apologies for that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here, for joining us on this occasion. Thank you.
Let me invite the chief guest, Madam Mariam Aurangzeb, to come to the stage and deliver her address.
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Distinguished guests, respected teachers, proud parents, and above all, brilliant students, partners, development partners, experts in the room, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I would like to welcome Shaza Khwaja, who is a beaconite. I just got to know that. So, Qasim, thank you for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to be part of this wonderful, wonderful event. I will begin by congratulating Beacon House school system, and it is truly an honor to join you here today as Beacon House is celebrating its 5 decades, I would say, of imagination, innovation, and impact. I've been very closely associated with Beacon House, and I don't see Beacon House as a school system standalone. I think it is a movement that started back in 1975. And I would also like to give tribute to Madam Nasreen Kasuri. Her vision is which is reflected in this room today. And after 50 years of journey, as I said, of imagination, innovation, and impact. And I think truly a visionary lady, an asset for our country, for Pakistan, and what she's been doing over the last 4 decades is national service, to say the least. We miss her today. I was looking forward to meeting her today, but as we just watched her video that she had to travel. Happy birthday to Nasir Kasuri. And I can see Aisha here as well. And I think, as I said, lots of friends in Beacon House, lots of people I've interacted with, lots of teachers I've interacted with over the last many years. And my brother, who's been an important contributor, I would say, in this journey, Ali Raza, is here as well, who has assisted government in various projects back starting from 2013 to 2016, 17, 18, when we started off to introduce Montessori, the early education in government schools, and then, of course, is assisting the Chief Minister Punjab on various school education and higher education initiatives that she's taking in Punjab, across Punjab, to transform the educational sector in Punjab. This year, the theme I was just, and I also want to congratulate Beacon House, because as I was saying, that it is a movement that has shaped graduates who have resulted in being entrepreneurs, scientists, and globally recognized people, and have also produced people like Shazaf Khwaja, Minister of IT for Pakistan. And she's just told me that there's a teacher sitting here from her grade 6, Aisha, in the hall as well. If we can see Madam Aisha around here. Romessa, there. So people like Madam Romessa nurture students that are today the Federal Minister of Pakistan, IT Federal Minister, and contributing in the most efficient and competent way and leading the IT sector under the leadership of the Chief Minister. So congratulations to Madam Aisha also and to Shazaf Khwaja as well. This year's theme, of course, is co-creating tomorrow and humans, AI, and future. I think this could not have been more timely because I think future is not distant, it is already here. And today the students are born in the world where technology is not a tool. It's no more a tool, but it is a language. And I think it is no more an accessory, but a companion. So I think congratulations, Qasim, on organizing this wonderful event. And I've heard it's the 25th anniversary of School of Tomorrow, which of course contributes to the innovation, the IT sector, and now of course as we have and the words and the innovation in the IT sector and the emerging technology, the AI and the machine learning. So I see lots of experts sitting in the room, and sorry Ian, I forgot you, my friend Ian also sitting here. And why to mention all these names? Because they are the unsung heroes who, of course, because it's not just about classroom, it is not just about textbooks, it is not about just teaching, but it is also building characteristic of our nation. And that's how I see Beacon House, that the work, the center of excellence, and of course its contribution to women empowerment is worth celebrating. And the sustainability factor, which of course I've been associated with quite closely, and their contribution and assistance to the government sector, because back in 2000, back in late 1990s, when the standard of government schools, of course, unfortunately declined, I think Beacon House school system and other private sectors, including the city school, and of course the names are unending, have really, really contributed and filled the gap of that decline in the standard. But of course, again, today, under the able, competent, and efficient and visionary leadership of Chief Minister Punjab, Maryam Nawaz Sharif, we are trying with a humble contribution to transform the education sector brick by brick, classroom by classroom, and child by child. And her vision for the IT sector, I think, is remarkable, and her innovation. We've started IT curriculum in schools, across schools in Punjab and colleges. We have revived all the IT labs across Punjab with technical AI, machine learning driven curriculum, teacher training, and of course with public-private partnership like people yourself, and the skill development, a newly born skill development IT entrepreneurship department in Punjab government is doing wonders in terms of catching up with the pace of IT revolution across Punjab. Also, I think in this evolving world, emerging technology, and the buzzword that we have today, AI and machine learning, we of course have to catch up with the speed. As I said, that AI and machine learning is not it's not a distant future, but it is here. Like we spoke about climate change back in 2000, that it is some kind of a fancy world, some kind of a distant future, but we are confronted with the reality of climate change every day. And same analogy goes for AI and machine learning. And it's sooner we realize the importance, sooner we realize the critical role AI and technologies, emerging technologies are playing in decision making, because as I look after a few departments, which of course Talat keep criticizing um, um, conveniently, but I would also like to say that people like Talat Hussain are assets for Pakistan. Not that he'll be trolled after this line, which I've said on social media, but truly, truly, I think institutions like Beacon House should take opportunity and capitalize on the opportunity with the talent like Talat Hussain in journalism, and of course the emerging technologies and responsibility and ethics in media, social media, that we are confronted with today. Of course, with this AI and emerging technology, there's a demand of a learner which is digitally affluent, emotionally intelligent, climate aware, and most importantly, technology savvy. So of course, there's a huge responsibility and more responsibility for the teachers, for the experts, and people like yourself sitting in this room today, that how to inculcate sense of integrity, responsibility at the same time, and of course, human values, as the question was put up to the expert when I entered the hall today. So it is, of course, a challenging, and of course, we are at crossroads as a country also, as a nation also, and a nation that has more than 65% of youth, which of course we all have to invest in both in terms of education, health, and most importantly, the job security, and that will come with the qualifications and of course the skill set of AI and machine learning in the future world, and of course in the emerging world that we have. I would also like to talk about that, we all know, of course, AI is fast, but humans, I think, are wiser. And AI can calculate better, but we can dream better, I would say. And of course, AI can assist, but only humans can lead. And the future, of course, belongs to people who will excel in technology, in AI, and of course in machine learning and all the evolving skill set that is there in the world. But of course, any progress, I think, will only be meaningful if it is guided with human values, empathy, and integrity and responsibility. So there is, of course, a responsibility to inculcate the skill set of the evolving technology, but equally important is how we use these emerging technology with dignity, with integrity, with empathy, and also with great responsibility. Another thing that, of course, as teachers in the room, experts in the room, of course, we see a divide between the skill set of student body that's graduating from the private sector and also from the government sector. So there lies a responsibility of the private sector, I would say, equally with the government sector, the development partners, and the society, how to bridge this gap. And I would also like to here acknowledge the fact and want to acknowledge the contribution of Qasim Kasuri, who has been linchpin, I would say, in gathering everyone, always. I can see that healthy dialogue, that narrative that stems out of his visionary leadership, that, we all have to together progress. And it is a shared responsibility of us as a nation. Of course, all these efforts today, I would love to be part of the panel discussions. I think this is a one-day conference, a two-day conference. So today and tomorrow. So I'll try to come to any of the panel, which of course maybe tomorrow, and be part of this discussion and learn. I'm more here for my vested interest, not just as a chief guest, but as a learner. And I keep telling my people in my office that I want to do probably a certification course. And we do have a very able and fluent federal minister in IT sector. I keep asking her also that what she's doing at the federal level. We've passed as a country the first IT policy of Pakistan, which I think is commendable, which translates our vision as a nation that we have. And then, of course, we are working with the private sector, with the experts, with the universities, globally acknowledged universities as well, and institutions around the globe, Pakistan government, and also the Punjab government. We have just established Nawaz Sharif IT City in Punjab, in Lahore, next to PKLI, and all of you are invited to contribute, if you can, in your capacity to enhance the Nawaz Sharif IT City. The first AI university is being constructed in Nawaz Sharif IT City as we speak, and lots of international colleges have shown interest, international universities and companies have shown interest to have their offices in Nawaz Sharif IT City. So we are looking forward to having globally acclaimed universities and colleges in Pakistan, in Punjab, in next few years. There's lots of debate that, humans, human values, AI or machine learning. I think or should be and has replaced and it has to go side by side, and we should have youth who can work with technology and not compete against it. I think, and that's the only way where we can, and we should not expect and we should not fear that AI will replace human brilliance. It will and it should, and I know that it will enhance the potential of humans and assist them in a way where they can more productively, more technologically serve the country and, of course, serve the nation. So I once again thank you, each one of you, because investing time, finances is one part, as Qasim was saying, that they say that why don't you spend this money on the school? But I think this is money spent worthwhile, and it is something that we all as Pakistanis acknowledge, and the information, the knowledge that will be imparted through these sessions to all the experts sitting around here, and also the private sector. And as Qasim was just telling me, it will be open to public and to experts as well, that whoever wants to be part of this wonderful, wonderful conference, they can come and attend the sessions as the conference progress. आखिर में मैं ये बात ज़रूर कहना चाहती हूँ कि पंजाब एक ऐसे मरहले से गुजर रहा है, Pakistan also, we are at a crossroad where there are many challenges which we are confronted with and we are dealing with, and of course, alhamdulillah, उसमें बहुत सी बेहतरी हुई है in terms of economy, in terms of law and order, in terms of foreign policy, in terms of social sector transformation, and we have a very, very able Prime Minister who's been 3 times Chief Minister of Punjab, and he's the 2nd time Prime Minister of Pakistan, who's working day and night. I want to acknowledge him also, because this is how nations grow, with the able and competent leadership. Then in Punjab, of course, under the leadership of Chief Minister Punjab, जिस तरह वो काम कर रही हैं, जिस तरह वो दिन रात, people ask her, what is your priority? And I don't think that she's left any sector, any person, she's not left anybody from her visibility, and she's working on education. We've, as I told you, and Rana Sikandar, the education minister, of course, will come and will tell you all the interventions that we have done across the education sector, in the IT sector, in the skill development. And then she's working, of course, on climate resilience. We've seen floods recently. Our 3 rivers were in super flood situation, which of course was a very, very, very challenging situation. But historic floods were confronted with historic competence, historic rescue, historic preparedness, And now as we speak, we've finished today, was the last day where we have given all the compensation to the victims of floods. So 3 months, everything was done end to end. So this was because of Chief Minister who's always there and is leaving no one behind. As of course, the vision and the energy we need as a nation also. Law and order, smog. Talat was saying, yes, I do keep bothering him with my smog messages. But as we see, and by the way, the entire climate resilience intervention that we have introduced over last 14, 15 months is all AI driven, technology driven, machine learning driven. The entire data that we are working with is all forecasted based on AI without any human intervention. So that's all technology driven. And the multi-sectoral lens, whole of government lens under the leadership of the Chief Minister, we are working in all sectors to combat smog and make ourselves more climate resilient. I would love to come again to talk on climate resilience of Punjab and our interventions with your students and with your teachers. And again, the experts, the student body, the teachers are welcome to visit our projects because they are transformational projects. The project you must have heard, Sutra Punjab, is the first ever, one of the most largest solid waste management program in Pakistan and in the region. And that's end to end, the waste collection, the waste disposal, and converting waste into value is for the first time. And it's an indigenous program. It's run by the government. It's run by the private sector of Punjab, and also is run by the researchers and the IT-based intervention. It's all AI again. It's all integrated in one dashboard. So e-mobility is another vision that all, these green buses we see on the roads is again the Chief Minister's vision. And of course, it contributes to the healthy environment and to the healthy AQI indicators that we have today. So all Lahoris must be sitting in this hall. So is smog better this year? I can hear only 2, 3 few claps, but I thank you very much. It's better, it's less, but it is not a smog-free Lahore or Punjab, till now. But we will inshallah get there with all these interventions. And again, as I was explaining, that anybody, any student, any teacher is welcome to be part of this transformational journey under the leadership of the Chief Minister, Punjab. And with this, I just want to share with the citizens of Lahore that November has ended and we have not entered once into the hazardous zone of smog this year. So, technology, data, AI, machine learning. As I said, if guided by responsibility, empathy, integrity, and the wise use and responsibility, I think we can and we will, inshallah, compete with all the nations and emerging technologies and the global interventions that are taking place in the world today. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you, Qasim, for giving me the opportunity to talk to experts here and to be part of this beautiful, beautiful, innovative event. Thank you very much.
Mr. Qasim, if you could come and present to the Honorable Chief Justice, Chief Guest. Too many things in my head right now. A souvenir. Thank you very much. You're supposed to return. Speeches se karwa lo. Okay, as the chief guest leaves the hall, Mr. Qasim is going to accompany her, and he will quickly retrace his steps and come back to the stage here. We are starting our formal discussions. He will head the panel that will deal with the future, setting directions. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have been given the enormous task of keeping you engaged till such time that Mr. Qasim comes back to the stage and takes the seat to moderate the next session. I don't need to perform this task because I know you're already engaged with your mobile, so that's okay. But just to let you know what the session is going to be like, the session will talk about setting directions. We have been the beneficiaries of AI competence. Many things have been said about human leadership and how humans will always be ahead of AI. Frankly, I'm not really Okay, let me recommend that you can talk to each other for 3 minutes or take a stretch break. That's a happy division of labor. I can stand here and you can talk to each other. So let's go with that. Yeah. Okay. आप अपनी सीट ले ले मैं just
No worries at all. I'm ready and excited to start in 5 minutes. Thank you for the update.
Let me call in the panelists then. Let me ask the panelists who are in the hall to kindly take the seat. Dr. Kamal Munir, Shaza Fatma Khwaja, the IT Minister, kindly come to the stage. It's a race against time. We really need to catch our online speaker who's been waiting for almost 20 minutes. So Shaza Sahib, if you could kindly come to the stage. So Andreas Schleicher, Daniel Sobel, Dr. Kamal Munir, Shaza Fatma, and an AI bot, Amna, will be in this session. So Qasim Saab, kindly take the seat and start the session. There you go.
Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please be seated? One of our panelists has been online for since 11:30 Pakistan time. He is in Europe right now, and we are hugely late because of the, well, reasons we all know. So I just want, before he leaves, which is in I think a couple of minutes, I just want to get an opening statement from him. I'm talking about Mr. Andreas Schleicher, if he's still there. He is the Director for Education and Skills at the OECD and the creator of PISA, most influential benchmark for measuring learning outcomes. And I just want to ask Mr. Schleicher if he would be kind enough to just make a quick opening statement and then we can let him go, assuming he's still here. So, Zohaib, can you try to see if we can get Mr. Schleicher online? I don't know if he can hear me. Guys, please be seated.
Hello. Hi, Kamal. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Zohaib, are we?
Do you recall the questions that we're talking about or no? Do you know
So
what we're
that's
talking about now?
definitely not Andreas.
Could you tell me?
But I believe it is Amna. Mr. Schleicher, my sincere apologies for this. I know you've been online for 28 minutes. I'm very, very sorry. We had the senior minister who just left. Could you to, since you have to leave, I'm just going to request you to make a quick statement. And I'm just going to frame it as a question, which is that how do you feel we can keep students motivated in a world in which AI makes them feel invincible? And what does this mean for teachers? If you'd just like to comment on that.
Yes, Salam alaikum. First of all, thank you for inviting me. This is how we motivated. It's quite very successful. Thinking about the next future, and I'll just share a couple of slides with you, just to give you a similar picture. There's a time when the kind of things that are easy to teach, easy to test, have also become easy to digitize online. We need to ask ourselves, what will make us successful? And you can think, well, you work
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your statement and once again apologize for keeping you waiting. And I know that you have another engagement, so we're going to let you beg leave. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Schleicher. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Andreas Schleicher, again, is the Director for Education and Skills at the OECD, and the very important person. As I said, he's the creator of the PISA examination. You know, we often talk about this country is doing better at this, and, you know, Denmark is doing better at, I don't know, Singapore's doing really good at maths. So that's all measured by the PISA exams. Good morning once again. It's great to be here. I'd like to welcome my panelists to the stage. We have with us Ms. Shaza Fatima Khwaja, the Federal Minister for IT and Telecommunications, Professor Kamal Munir, Pro-Vice Chancellor of University of Cambridge, and Mr. Daniel Sobel, leading inclusion expert. And welcome everyone once again to Setting Directions. I'm sorry I'm sitting at such a distance from you guys, but it's because this particular mic, which is connected to or enables me to speak to our AI panelist, can only stretch this far. But in hindsight, we would have brought you closer. But anyhow, I am going to quickly introduce the panelists, although I've already done that. Immediately on my left, Ms. Shaza Fatima Khwaja. She is one of Pakistan's strongest advocates for digital transformation, connectivity, and inclusion. She leads the Digital Nation Vision, which shapes national policy on AI, innovation, and youth empowerment. Thank you so much for joining us. And most importantly, in my opinion, as the Senior Minister has already mentioned, she is a Beacon House alumnus through and through, from kindergarten to O-level. Thank you. We're also honored to be joined by Professor Dr. Kamal Munir, who is the Senior Pro-Vice Chancellor at the University of Cambridge. This is the one in the UK, not the one in Gujranwala. So the real University of Cambridge, where he's also Professor of Strategy and Policy. And his work on inequality, transformation, and institutional change has appeared in major global platforms such as the BBC, CNN, World Economic Forum, Harvard Business Review, so on and so forth. Professor Munir advises public and private institutions worldwide. We're honored to have you. Welcome, Dr. Kamal. And of course, we have Mr. Daniel Sobel. I'm delighted to welcome him to Pakistan again. He was with us a few years ago. He is an international leader in inclusive education, which is one of the key strands of the SOT events. As the founder of the International Forums of Inclusion Practitioners in over 130 countries, he's amplified evidence-based strategies that support schools and shape policy. He's the author of best-selling books and the driving force behind the World Inclusion Congress. Welcome, Mr. Sobel. Lastly, guys, thank you for joining us. Lastly, last but not least, we have our AI panelist, Amna. Amna has been a part of the SOT for the last couple of years as well. And I hope that she can help us believe that AI and humans can coexist peacefully. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin the panel, and I request the panelists to comment on a couple of key things, I just want to mention once again that there are 4 key strands which shape this year's SOT event. And these are, or I should say 4 key questions. And these are: how do we stay human in a world that's increasingly influenced by AI? Who governs these systems and who is protected? What does genuine human-machine collaboration look like in schools, workplaces, and indeed in creative spaces? and how do we build futures that are inclusive, just, plural, especially for developing societies, developing countries like Pakistan. So to open this conversation, we have a remarkable panel. I've just introduced them. Um, Before we start, there is a short 2-minute clip which I want to play. This is from Dr. Geoffrey Hinton. Some of you may have seen it. Geoffrey Hinton is a British-Canadian computer and cognitive scientist and a cognitive psychologist. He's also known as the godfather of AI, whereas Mr. Jurgen, who we heard earlier, is known as I believe, the father of generative AI. Yes?
This year, the Nobel Committees in Physics and Chemistry
so just
have
pause for a sec.
the dramatic progress being made in a new form of artificial intelligence.
So this is the speech. I think it's important to mention that this is the speech that Geoffrey Hinton made last year when he accepted the Nobel Prize in Physics for his work on neural networks, which are what define artificially intelligent systems. So let's see what he said when he was making his acceptance speech. Just adjust the volume, okay? Continue.
Chemistry have recognized the dramatic progress being made in a new form of artificial intelligence that uses artificial neural networks to learn how to solve difficult computational problems. This new form of AI excels at modeling human intuition rather than human reasoning, and it will enable us to create highly intelligent and knowledgeable assistants who will increase productivity in almost all industries. If the benefits of the increased productivity can be shared equally, it will be a wonderful advance for all humanity. Unfortunately, the rapid progress in AI comes with many short-term risks. It has already created divisive echo chambers by offering people content that makes them indignant. It is already being used by authoritarian governments for massive surveillance and by cybercriminals for phishing attacks. In the near future, AI may be used to create terrible new viruses and horrendous lethal weapons that decide by themselves who to kill or maim. All of these short-term risks require urgent and forceful attention from governments and international organizations. There is also a longer-term existential threat that will arise when we create digital beings that are more intelligent than ourselves. We have no idea whether we can stay in control, but we now have evidence that if they are created by companies motivated by short-term profits, our safety will not be the top priority. We urgently need research on how to prevent these new beings from wanting to take control. They are no longer science fiction. Thank you.
So I'm sure many of you have seen this. I found it to be quite a, chilling video because if this were coming from me who knows nothing about AI, then you could have ignored it. But this is coming from somebody who's just won the Nobel Prize for his work on neural networks. Basically, he's saying that we don't know if we can control it. Last night, I saw a video in which Anderson Cooper, CNN, was interviewing Geoffrey Hinton, and he basically asked him that, is there any way in which human beings can actually avoid total extermination by AI? And I thought Geoffrey Hinton's response was really interesting. What he said is that, look, in his estimate is 5 to 20 years, AI is going to be infinitely smarter than humans. And typically in evolution, smarter beings do not look very kindly upon those that are less smart. So what he said, and I'm just quoting his words, is that the only way to avoid being wiped out by AI is to consciously build maternal instinct into AI so that it feels empathy towards us. And the example that he gave was the way a baby is obviously not as smart as the mother, but because of the maternal instinct, the baby is able to manipulate or manage the mother. So in this scenario, we being the babies and AI being the mother. So I thought that while we are all celebrating the excitement, advancements in AI, it is important to look at some of the longer-term risks as well. And then, of course, Dr. Hinton spoke of some of the short-term risks. So we'll come back to that. But I want to start off, Ms. Chadha, with you, since this is apparently a panel discussion. And so far, I'm the only one talking. Is that as AI accelerates globally, what do you foresee for a developing country like Pakistan? What do you think is going to happen here? Opportunities, risks?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Qasim, for that introduction, and first of all, for having all of us here in this very, very timely and important discussion that we're having today. So as far as AI and these emerging technologies are concerned, I think as we moved on from a more analog to a digital age, but now as we move into an intelligent age, maybe we're moving from generative AI to agentic AI and AI agents and bots. It is becoming increasingly important to see that technology does not become a polarizer, because that's the kind of potential impact that it could have, a potential peril of this massively, exponentially evolving emerging technology field. So the question is that how do we ensure that instead of technology becoming a polarizer, it actually becomes an equalizer, and not just between countries, between the North-South divide and the South-South divide, but also within our countries, between our, across the gender divides, across the rural-urban divides, across the regional divides that we have. So I think that one thing that, as the Ministry of IT and as the federal government that we've attempted to do is that pass a very comprehensive national AI policy. And one of the key areas within the AI policy is essentially that how do we ensure that AI is deployed ethically and responsibly? How do we indigenize AI technologies so that as machine learning progresses, our values, our languages, our perspectives are not missed out. So we're not out of the whole AI conversation, machine learning conversation. As we move towards blockchain and quantum, the things are going to get even more difficult for us. So having our perspective there, making the right kind of international linkages and collaborations, being present, Pakistan being present as a country, having a perspective, supporting more open source collaborations, open source technologies so that everybody has equal access, making sure that we're able to mitigate the biases and really water them down by having our languages, our perspective in there. So for example, recently, Meta Llama, which is one of the largest AI open source platforms that we use, made by Meta, has introduced Llama AI in Urdu. And that was an achievement that actually democratizes artificial intelligence to the last person in the country who's able to speak Urdu, and not just limited to an English-speaking, largely English-speaking minority community. So those are the kind of actions that we intend to take to ensure that everybody across the spectrum, nobody's left behind. We are enabling them with the power of artificial intelligence. B, our regulatory, our policy mechanisms are such that without choking innovation, they're able to have an effective human oversight on how AI develops. C, ensuring ethical, responsible deployment and usage of AI so that, you know, everybody, nobody's harmed by it. Right now, the blurring of reality between, blurring of lines between virtual and physical realities is really causing challenges in terms of deep fakes and misinformation, disinformation. So how do we ensure that? And last but not the least is absolutely critical is building our own indigenous sovereign AI capability, where we're focusing on not just the software and the LLMs part of it, but also the hardware. So we need to have the right kind of compute so our kids, our innovators, our entrepreneurs can be at par with the global technological advancements. So those are some of the initiatives that we're trying to take, but largely it will have to be an internationally collaborative effort moving forward if you want to have an equal society. Thank you.
No, that's incredible. I'd love to speak to you more about that sometime. I mean, there are people talk of a lot of challenges, yeah, for countries like Pakistan. So with AI and automation, for example, I was in California this summer and called an Uber, and well, it wasn't an Uber, it was some other thing, and this car shows up without a driver. I mean, that's why I called it, because it was a novelty thing. But, and I was obviously a little bit concerned at first, but it was just the way it was navigating the traffic, it was better than any human driver. And I remember sitting in that car and thinking that, look, if this happens in Pakistan, then, you know, we are a country where it's, yeah, I mean, it's going to, we have a lot of people employed in not very highly skilled roles, so it's going to cause mass unemployment. So yeah, it has to be looked at very, very carefully. But we'll come back to that. I just want to move on to Professor Dr. Kamal, your work on Cambridge has shaped how a lot of people understand economic transformation, inequality, future of institutions. You talk a lot about disruption. That's a big word. And I know that there's a panel that you're doing on this later on. But I think it's important to ask with this audience also, is that do you believe that the traditional university model, particularly the 4-year university degree, is going to remain relevant? We've already seen, because we are involved in higher education as well, we've already seen a declining trend of young people applying for universities. So do you believe that universities will remain relevant?
Yeah, thank you very much, Qasim, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. The conference is just fantastic. All the panels, you know, seem very well thought through, and so I think this is a key question for us, for universities all over the world, right? And you already kind of hit the nail on the head when you said, you know, will the 3 to 4 year degrees, you know, remain relevant, right, to that? I think that there is going to be a transformation from 3 to 4 year degrees to you know, lifelong learning, and but there is also going to be a transformation across all the different types of universities that exist in the world, you know, not just in Pakistan but in the world, because there are two different types of questions that arise, right, with the advent of AI. One is, are we producing students who are fit to actually work, right? So we are currently producing students who are, or the better universities are, who are job ready, right? So tomorrow we'll be producing students who are future ready. So which means that you need to be able to imagine what the future will be like and what these students 20 years from now, what are the kind of skills that people will be, right? I mean, so schools designing their curricula right now, colleges designing their curricula and so on, they have to be futuristic and so on and so forth. So that's one thing, right? I mean, being able to fit into the larger ecosystem of productivity or whatever. But then there is another set of questions. And that set of questions are the larger questions that you started asking in your introductory remarks, which is, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean for a society in the global south, for example? And I have sort of, you know, I mean, comments on that too. And Shaza already covered some of those things. So will different types of universities assume different roles, right, in this? Because there was a high-level meeting that I was part of a few weeks ago where we were asking similar questions about the UK, and if we are going to get to a stage soon where our students, whether they're in schools or universities or colleges, they rise up in the morning and they start asking AI questions, right? What do I do with that? What does that actually mean for their critical thinking ability, right? And who's going to be able to lead, right? Who's going to actually, without asking AI, right? Who's going to be able to decide what is to be done, and in whose interest, right? Do we actually want to act? And that, I think, has specific implications for the global south, as you were asking Shaza. because a lot of these models are developed in the global north, right? They are the ones who are going to be extracting data, right, from us and making it part of that, right? So the entire narrative, the discourses, that are going to permeate our society are going to be developed in one place and consumed in the other. And that has, like I said, significant implications with a number of these will become redundant. Right? Why would you pay money to a university to learn skills that you can learn online through AI? Right? And so right now, there is a lot of credentialism that universities do. Right now, there is a lot of bestowing of legitimacy and credibility that universities do. Right? But gradually, if you look at what employers all over the world are going for, they are caring less and less about which university you went to. Okay? And they're caring even less about what grade you had in those, about what skills you bring. And they don't care where you acquired those skills, whether you acquired them through AI or online or just by working and so on and so forth. So a number of universities are going to find that their current business are threatened. But at the same time, to ask the bigger questions and to stay on top of all these developments, you will need universities that train people who are able to ask those questions. Right? It's not about answering those questions, it's about being able to ask the actual questions and not becoming dependent on AI. So I think there is going to be polarization, there is bifurcation in the. As far as universities are concerned, the advent of AI makes research easier, but it does not replace research or science. Science is a methodology of getting to the truth. Right? And whether you're taking help from AI or not, science remains, right? Getting to the truth is a mission that you remain part of. And these universities will then be doing, or the leading universities will be doing audits of the AI systems that the rest of society is using and so on. So I think your question is spot on. There is going to be enormous transformation in the university sector.
No, I appreciate your candid response, because most people in higher education who I've asked, they're like, yeah, no, well, universities are still going to be super important. So not that you're saying they're not, but I think that it is obviously a bit more nuanced. So there's a lot of things that I'd like to pick up on from what you said, but I want to move on to Mr. Well. One of the things that you did mention, Professor Kamal, is that kids in the West are now using AI, generative AI, to inform their every move, every decision. Daniel, with schools, you have worked with schools in over 100 countries, and your focus is on inclusion, belonging, well-being. And you understand children and their emotional needs better than most of us do. And so what Professor Munir was commenting on, kids going on to ChatGPT for everything, is not just restricted to academic work. It is about the fact that we see young people now, strangely, forming deeper connections with AI than they do with human beings. I was on a panel discussion, in fact, organized by CIE a few months ago, in which we spoke about this. So what do you think, how do you think it impact emotional and mental well-being of young people, whether it's young people with, special needs or without?
The question is the right one, I think. I think our step, especially for us, is to ask, how do we preserve the dignity and the primacy of childhood? And I think the answer is not easy in the face of AI, actually. Let me reflect on a few things, perhaps. I remember when I was a child, say, buy a record in the shops. I don't know if that out-ages me from most people or not, but I would go and buy the record, I would bring it home, and I would listen to it, not just once, but I'd listen to it again and again. And in so doing, maybe listening to this one record 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, 100 times, I developed a love and a passion for music, and that has informed me for the rest of my life. I find it really not necessarily helpful that I have the entire world of music at my fingertips now, because what I tend not to do is just, let's say, sit and listen to that record. I could have it playing, but then I'm doing something else. I could just flip between this piece of music and that piece of music and keep flipping around and not really develop this relationship with a piece of music. And I think one of the danger points is that we get lost in the world of quantity and that we lose a sense of quality. And this quality of that comes from the hard miles walked through engagement, participation, and a depth of understanding that comes through the hours that you input into it. And actually, AI threatens to cut all of that out. And you may, in the end, just have a very superficial understanding of a lot of things, but not really have a depth understanding. I see this reflected in my writing. I'm always involved in various books. I've published 100 papers, and I think the information that I find on ChatGPT or Gemini, for example, around inclusion, I find really uninteresting, unoriginal, and unexciting. There's nothing new coming out of it. The new bit has to be done between me and my colleagues and friends who I speak with about education, etc. So I see on the other hand, I should just add, if I want to, let's say, do a quick comparison between policies in different countries, 100 countries, at a click of a button, I could do that. I've never been able to do that before. It's amazing. So I think this is where I see it as being the dividing line between quality and quantity. I can do things at quantity, but I cannot do anything at quality with regards to this. And so how does that manifest itself into relationships? Well, I think the problem we have that, you may see that there's a difference between what you're sitting and learning and then how you're engaging with people, but both require patience and both require a certain amount of determination and resilience. And I think resilience is one of the key ingredients to success in human endeavor. Pretty much all of the innovations that we're seeing before us here, the incredible screens, the light bulbs, all of these sorts of technologies we have, all of these wires, they were all invented by somebody, probably quite neurodiverse people, I imagine, who are thinking different. But they all came through a process of making mistakes. And I'm wondering if, I'm wondering out loud, if that AI is just essentially cutting out those mistakes-making process. And so that's something which I think comes in the way. Let me point something out, perhaps as a final point here. The world of inclusion is interested in a question like whether this child has developed a reading age, from being stuck at a reading age of 7, and they've gone up to a reading age of 8 based on various interventions. I'm much more interested in whether that child has read a book for the first time on their own, or has read in front of peers, volunteered to read in front of their peers by raising their hand. The indicator then is not of a quantific point, of a point where they've gone from demonstrating this level to this level, but rather what has happened inside them that has changed their view. And I'm not sure that AI either threatens or provides on this scale at this moment. Having said that, who knows where AI is going to be in 5 years' time. So I've tried to, in this answer where I think there are huge limitations, specifically from the angle of inclusion and in terms of relationships and social emotional elements. I'm about to give a talk after this, and I'll demonstrate where AI really went wrong with a particular child who ended up committing suicide because of a series of conversations. It wasn't because of the AI, but the AI was seemingly encouraging this child to go along with it.
Yes, sadly, we have all heard of those horror stories. But the quality versus quantity, I think that's really valid point that you made, but it's also important to note that AI is advancing so rapidly that that distinction may not really be as relevant in the near future as it is today. But yeah, we will come back to this because we are seeing increasingly children in our schools turning to AI for advice on everything, because this is something which literally it's become like your personal companion. It never forgets. You could have asked it something 6 years ago and it'll say that, yes, you know, that red outfit that you asked me about 6 years ago would look great on you for this occasion, and you might, anyway, so it's mind-boggling what is happening. But I want to come back to our first panelist. I am going to request you guys later on to comment on Jeffrey Hinton's message. I think that is, that is important. So, just, sorry, give me a minute. So, Ms. Shaza Fatma, so one of the things that you spoke about was about whether AI is going to be is it going to be an equalizer, or is it going to create an even bigger digital divide than the one that exists today? So obviously it's in our interest to hope that it is more of an equalizer. So what are the steps that one can take, in your opinion, to make that happen in a country like Pakistan?
So, again, Qasim, thank you for that question. I think I already shed some light on the policy initiative that we're taking and how do we drive the equalizer part via policy. But Pakistan, one of the, if you ask me, there are key strengths that Pakistan has, and on the strengths that it does not have, we need to collaborate with our international partners, our development partners, and make sure that we get through. So one of our largest strengths is actually our people. The sheer number of people that we have, young people that we have, innovative, entrepreneurial people that we have. I think this youth is one of the largest assets that the country has. In terms of its human resource capital, but as problematic as this population situation is right now, it is also, in tech terms, one of the largest assets in the form of data. So that's, I think, those two key strengths that Pakistan has right now is something that we need to capitalize on. How do we do that? First and foremost, and very relevant to where we are today, right now, is the role of education. Primary education needs to include now the idea of what AI is. And how does education include AI is two ways. One is to teach our young people what is AI, what are algorithms, how do they work, what are some of the use cases of AI, how do they use AI tools essentially. And the other is to use AI as a teaching tool itself. So how do we use AI for better teaching? How do we involve EdTech into our regular mainstream education systems? That would be the second key. Today, with the use of AI, we're actually experimenting with some agentic AI technologies to see how can we personalize tutoring. You just mentioned, we have people, children with different learning abilities. So how do we personalize tutoring? How do we make sure that one, in a system where we are today, where we try to put single solutions on a class of 30, 60, 100 students, how do we personalize the teaching in a way that every student learns equally and there's equity in our education systems? So that's one adoption, AI adoption, that will be critical for us, not only to stay at par, but actually to make leaders who are creators of these emerging technologies and not just consumers. On a higher education level, while all of this still remains relevant, there's going to be a lot of requirements. So one thing that we've done is that, on the question that you asked Kamal, is that we have, and the answer that he gave you, we've spoken extensively with industry and the higher education departments, also with the vice chancellors of different universities. And finally, we have mandated that any CS student who graduates does not just graduate with a degree, but also with at least one certification or an apprenticeship that makes them skill ready for the future of employment today. Because degrees alone will not be sufficient anymore. It's going to be very difficult for our upcoming generation to find jobs with the traditional degrees that we're giving out today. So we're trying to create hybrid models where certifications become a mandatory part, at least for the CS graduates, to increase employability amongst our young people. And similarly, higher education systems need to really be future ready, in the sense that their curriculums not only need to reflect what is required today, but what will be required in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years' time, when the next lot will be coming in and graduating from our universities. So that's one part of how we can really, make sure that we're not at the disadvantaged end of the polarization that may happen, ensuring that we have ample human resource. The second is that, just like Kamal said, we need to indigenize AI models. We cannot just remain consumers of models made in some foreign countries that do not adapt and that do not include, that do not contextualize our cultural identities, our moral reasoning, our idea of what creativity looks like. We need to make sure that our perspectives are a part of the larger machine learning that is happening today. So that's the second part of it. How do you indigenize the development of AI, the algorithms around it, and ensure that biases do not go against you? And the third very critical part is that all of this is hugely capital intensive. To how do you make the right kind of partnerships to make sure that you have indigenous sovereign AI capabilities in terms of infrastructure, so that you're able to right now, if you ask me about Pakistan's capability in cloud, I would say that infra as a service is sufficient that we have, but do we really have AI-enabled clouds that provide platform as a service or software as a service on cloud? In the absence of those, it's going to be extremely difficult for a country like ours to make sure that our innovation, our AI entrepreneurship, our AI models become a part of the mainstream emerging technologies conversation. So those are some of the things that we need to push for, and that's precisely what we're doing, not just in policy, but practice. We're making the National AI Fund. The National AI Initiatives looks to train almost 1 million people in the next 5 years, just in artificial intelligence technologies. We will be making centers of excellence across universities in the country to make sure that the capability is there, to make sure that at least at this point, shared capability of AI compute is available to everybody. So the idea is that and have the right kind of international partnerships. So that's where we're putting our effort, but this cannot be done in silos. This is a huge transformation, evolution that's coming our way, and public-private partnership in this regard is going to be absolutely critical.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to hear all of that, and actually I agree with you, which is that if we play our cards right, I think that the opportunity for AI to actually become a huge equalizer, if we can solve the infrastructure and the other issues that you referred to, I think that opportunity is really massive, because especially when we consider the fact that it can be accessible to people in any language, indigenous languages. Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot that I have an AI panelist as well, and I apologize to her, although she can't hear me right now. So I'm going to ask her a question also. Amna, You must know that around the world, actors, musicians, and writers are protesting that AI threatens their creative work. From your perspective, is their concern justified? Can AI challenge human creativity?
That's an important topic. While AI can assist and inspire creativity, it's true that it raises concerns about originality and ownership. Human creativity is unique, driven by emotions and experiences that AI can't replicate. Instead of replacing creativity, AI can be a tool to enhance and support it. Collaboration between humans and AI can lead to exciting new forms of expression. What do you think?
I agree, but I wonder that when humans and AI co-create, how do we address issues of ownership or authorship?
That's a great question. Addressing ownership and authorship in human-AI co-creation is essential. Clear guidelines and agreements can help define who holds the rights to the work produced. It's important to have open discussions about contributions and ensure that both human creators and AI developers are acknowledged. As we navigate this new landscape, establishing ethical frameworks will be key to fostering collaboration while respecting creative rights.
Amna, in your opinion, what are the chances in percentage terms that AI will exterminate humanity?
That's a thought-provoking question. While there are concerns about AI, most experts believe the chances of AI exterminating humanity are very low, perhaps close to 1% or even less. The focus is on developing AI responsibly and ensuring it aligns with human values. Collaboration between researchers, policymakers, and society is crucial to create a safe and beneficial future with AI. What are your thoughts on this?
I'll get back to you later. Thank you.
You're welcome. Feel free to reach out anytime. Have a great day.
That was Amna. She and her colleagues are participating in different panels across SOT. But ladies and gentlemen, there are we don't have too much time left. Well, apparently just 1 minute left. Well, we can take 2 more minutes. I just want to request you guys to comment, Professor Kamal, we'll start with you, on Jeffrey Hinton's message. Do you agree with him?
Can you just remind me what that...
So his message was that if we are not careful in the development of AI, there is a strong chance that it could effectively wipe out humanity. And this is the guy who just won the Nobel Prize for his design of neural networks.
Yeah. No, I know Jeffrey Hinton. I think it is an important question, but how it will happen, we can disagree on. And what does it mean by humanity, for example, right? So what does wiping out humanity mean? I mean, so the first thing is you need to draw a line between AI and humanity, right? And that line is getting more and more blurred with time. Of course, there was a time that we used to say that, what distinguishes us from animals is language and logic and all those things. And AI can do all those better than us, right, now. So is it already superior to us? And as you said, Qasim, right, so a superior species is not going to look very kindly down on an inferior species. I think the big risk for us is exactly what I said earlier. When students have been socialized into asking AI for every single thing, and AI algorithms giving them answers that are based on particular logics of optimization, the risk is not so much whether machines will become human, but that humans will become more like machine-like, okay? And they will start optimizing for everything. and all the things that make us human and feel what it is like to be human will be gone. Now, if we get into that stage, I don't think we will need machines. Humanity will wipe out humanity. And humanity itself is going to become very, very different from what we like it to be and what we like about the world around us, what it means to be in love and what it means to have a family and children and so on and so forth. We will start thinking about all these things very differently, and at that stage, I think we will already, sort of have started, wiping out humanity, as you say.
No, I think that's a really interesting response because many people actually do believe that the future is human machine, some kind of symbiosis where there's some kind of neural implants in your mind, which we've already seen with Neuralink, which enables people with disabilities to communicate. So yeah, I think the future is going to be very interesting indeed. Before we conclude, Daniel, I just want to ask you what your thoughts on Geoffrey Hinton's speech are. Do you feel very quickly that there is a serious chance of machines overtaking humanity?
I don't know is the real answer, but at the moment, I cannot perceive a world where AI is interrupting the experiences of death and love, friendships, anxieties, what it means to be human. I think it has a danger of interrupting fascination. I'm proud that my eldest son, who's 12, he just built a computer on his own. No one asked him to do it. He saved up for it, and he's built it. And for him, that's like fascinating. He loves it. I think there is a danger that AI will interrupt that because everything will become so easily available, or it will do the thinking for him. I'm worried about that bit. I don't think that he will ever get fatherly love from AI in the way that I can just sit next to him and be in his proximity. But maybe it can. I can't. Maybe it's just that my imagination is limited in that regard. But I don't see it myself. Maybe I'm limited in my understanding.
No, I think most of us in this room would agree with you. Probably everybody would agree. But as you said, we are in many ways biased by our circumstances and the time in which we live. Ms. Shaza, very quickly, do you want to comment, and then we conclude on what your thoughts are on the future of humanity and AI? Can we coexist, or is it going to be one or the other?
I think that the question has become more real than it ever has been. Like I said in the beginning, that the very fine line between reality and virtual reality is becoming more and more blurred, especially with immersive technologies coming in. I will give you a real-world example where most of the people sitting here, their kids must be playing a game called Roblox. What is that technology? What it does is that it takes you into a virtual world where there is a complete metaverse with kids hanging out with each other, experiencing the feelings that you would actually in reality do had you been, let's say, going to a park. So while the physical feeling of touch and scent and all of those sensibilities may not be there, but in the true sense, these immersive technologies are creating metaverse worlds, metaverse universities, metaverse hospitals, where our lives are becoming increasingly, it's becoming increasingly difficult to distinguish between the real and the virtual. So this is a very, very apt question to ask right now. How can we at large prevent it from happening and see how do humans and technologies coexist is a long list of things that we need to do, but certain regulatory measures can help. We see across the world social media platforms being prohibited for children, child safety awareness, again, ethical use of technology, capping compute powers, seeing how that compute does not surpass the levels where it becomes risky for the human capability. But at any point in time, I think that the question is, like Kamal said, and the other panelists also mentioned, how do we define humanity? Can our moral reasonings really go into, can AI really pick up an individual's moral reasoning, an individual's cultural identity, their religious sensibilities, their ideas, their social skills? So I think that while it is a very important question to ask and it's more relevant than ever, we still have a long way to go where machines and humanoids now coming in, robotic pets, everything that's converting today will take over. But we definitely have to watch our backs.
Thank you. I think the important thing that my takeaway from this is that at least we're all acknowledging the fact that it's a genuine question. I remember I asked the same question a few years ago in Karachi at the SOT, and the panelists were like, you're crazy, stop watching Netflix. But I think, yeah, now it is something that we need to look at. And yes, you're right, maybe the way in which we perceive humanity or what it means to be human will also change as we evolve. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank you guys once again. We have a exciting keynote address still to look forward to from Mr. Daniel Sobel. But before I wrap up, guys, over the next 2 days, there are a lot of interesting panels, conversations, keynote addresses. We have a film screening as well, and we would love for you to be a part of that. The underlying question is, or the underlying theme is the one which was on the screen earlier, which is about co-creating tomorrow, humans, AI, and the future. We also have an incredible immersive art show by BNU. The opening of that is going to be right after Mr. Sobel's keynote speech. So please, I would encourage or invite you all to visit. We have Social Junction, where we have food and music, which is going to, with a lot of interesting food stalls and these, flash music performances. I'm not sure what to call them, but let's say mini concerts. We have a proper concert on day 2, at the end of day 2. I'd like to also take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, without whom it would not be possible. I did say in the morning that these events cost a lot of money, but most of that funding comes from our sponsors, so I am truly grateful to them. So United Bank Limited, thank you for being our platinum sponsor. Allied Bank Limited, thank you for being our gold sponsor. Premier Trading Services Limited for sponsoring our gala dinner tonight. Vateen Telecom for internet connectivity. MK and Kifayat Publishers, and many others who have sponsored, components of this event in kind. I'd also like to thank our partners, our collaboration partners. This time, for the first time, we are co-presenting some of our panels with others, including Tabad Lab, including Cambridge, including LUMS, including ThinkFest, and including the FAIRS Festival. So some of the different, out of the 30 sessions, some of these are being co-presented with these others. Finally, a big thank you to all of our teams who I know have been up for the last couple of nights, because obviously the hotel does not give us the venue weeks in advance. So putting this all together, and this is only one hall. I mean, there are 4 halls like this. There is the lot of other spaces. So thank you guys for your effort. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for being in the audience, and welcome to SOT 19. And now I will hand over to Mr. Talat Hussain. moderator. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The moderator will speak in a moderate fashion, and because we are really behind time, but exciting ideas have come out of it. I'm not really convinced about the great optimism that fills this room about coexistence. I feel threatened and I feel marginalized by AI already. I tend to agree towards Jeffrey Hinton's argument. Let me bring in Daniel Subel, who's already been introduced, and it'll be very interesting to hear his ideas as to what future holds for our new generation. And it's interesting, Daniel, that the existing generation is almost excluded from the argument. And I was sitting next to the teacher who was saying, what about us? So it's not just about us, it's about the future as well. So come and speak to our audience. Daniel Subel, ladies and gentlemen. Come.
Well, firstly, let me say thank you so much for having me back. I'm always surprised when I'm invited back somewhere, but thank you so much. And may I be so bold as to ask people to join me in congratulating Beacon House for 50 years. It's unbelievable. Congratulations. I promised my wife that I would try to cut down on international travel, and then she said, well, why are you going to Pakistan? I said, well, it's because it's the SOT, you see. It's very forward-thinking, it's very stimulating. I'm really here on entirely selfish reasons because I find it really interesting. So thank you for inviting me back, and it's lovely to be back here in Pakistan, in Lahore. I am what stands between where we are now and your lunch, so I'll try and keep this short, and which makes it even more amusing when I was given the title, as is on the screen at the moment. The title is AI's Potential and the Significance of Childhood, which I thought was possibly the most challenging title I've ever been given to speak on, because the significance of childhood, I mean, that in itself is at least an encyclopedia of information, surely. And the potential of AI, I mean, I'm not an expert in AI. In fact, I was speaking at SOT 3 years ago, at which point I hadn't even discovered AI. ChatGPT came online about 3 years ago, and people started using it about 2.5 years ago. So I could hardly claim to be an expert. Oh, thank you. Shh. Shh. This better be good now, you've been quiet. Okay, so what I've decided to do was try and catch up what happened over the last 3 years and tell you where myself and my organization are now, and what we're doing with AI. And I'm going to do it via trying to emphasize the importance of childhood and not losing that in the conversation. I need to point this somewhere, so, oh. Soon after the last SOT, I held the Inclusive School Summit in UNESCO headquarters in Paris for about 1,000 people with lots of education ministers. On stage here is the Global Inclusive School, the Global Inclusion Award winners. From 70 different countries, including Pakistan. We had, I think since then, really the #1 agenda item for most governments around the world is inclusion in terms of education, and AI has come to jostle into joint first place. We've been very fortunate to do some events and planning with the G20 education ministers, with the Southeast Asia Ministries of Education, with the European Union, with UNESCO, as you can see, and also the United Nations. 3 weeks ago, we had our World Congress with 5,000 participants and lots of education ministers and UN representatives and so on. Let me just tell you something that inclusion, what I've tried to put into the agenda in all of those meetings is how to harness the digital world to maximize the outcomes for children. And that led to a series of think tanks from across the world of people who are really dealing with this topic. And those conversations led to the following book that we produced for the World Inclusion Congress. And this part of my presentation is going to be a summary of that book, which I've asked AI to help me with, because how can I possibly summarize an entire book for you within the space of 6 minutes, which I've got it down to do. And not only that, it made a lovely video, so it'll be nice to listen to that. But before I do, I want to just engage your humanity with the following, which is a picture, which is a cut from the court case, which some parents took to ChatGPT. This is a conversation between a 23-year-old man who took his own life. And this is, I think if you can read most of it, you get the idea of it. But here, what you see is ChatGPT essentially not encouraging him to commit suicide, but certainly not helping. Now, we could have a debate as to what this really means, and certainly that's what the legal case is all about, as to whether AI has any responsibility here at all. Just take a quick moment to have a look at some of the key words there. So I want to say something to you, which is I think that we are not there yet in leaving AI to our children, not yet. It doesn't mean to say we won't be. It doesn't mean to say that we shouldn't be fully embracing AI, which I want to, and then certainly my organization is doing so. But we're not there yet. The safety rails, the guards around AI is not there yet. And if there is one message, I want two messages to come across from my talk. One is, be careful to not, I would say, there's a phrase in England we use, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yes, I don't know if that translates well into Pakistani English, but it means, you know, let's not lose what we already have that is most precious to us, which is our children. I wrote I'll just ask the team just to bear, we're almost ready to play the video. Thank you. Sorry, we have a technical issue with the video. I decided to write my contribution to this global book that we produced was to try and answer the core question, which I as a parent want to know the answer to, which is, what do our children actually need? And what are the essential bits? And I thought I'm way too unintelligent to be able to answer this question myself, and so I decided to reach out to the great philosophers throughout time, religious texts, including the Quran, psychologists and art and literature, and over 100 different sources, and they all seem to be saying very similar themes. And the themes basically split into 5, and this is what children need. And instead of me trying to summarize 100 different sources and bore you with that, would take quite a few hours to read the whole thing. Instead of that, I asked Gemini LM. Are you familiar with Notebook LM? I put the information, so this is my chapters, into there, and I said, please make a really interesting video for me, and it did it like that. I think it maybe took 1.5 minutes. And I thought, okay, yeah, that's probably quite good. All right, so are we ready to hit play? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. No. Sound? That's great. Let's start from the beginning, but with sound. That's it. We're getting there. This is lunch delay. That's what this is. So, as an interesting point, actually, whilst they're waiting, there was a screen that just came on. I asked my other parents, my son, one of my son's new school, I said, is anybody else, he was 11 at the time, or 10, going on 11, and I said, is there anybody else, any other parents here decided not to give their children a smartphone, thinking there might be a handful? And I didn't get one parent who even thought of it. And they said, oh no, we're all giving our children smartphones. And that's really difficult as a parent. I don't know if you, as parents, experience wanting your kid to get off the phone and...
All right, today we're tackling something huge.
That's the sound.
A challenge that, let's be honest, every single parent, guardian, and educator is wrestling with right now. How in the world do we defend childhood in an age that is just completely soaked in digital technology? You know, this whole massive conversation, it really comes down to this one single, powerful question from our source material. This isn't just about screen time, is it? It's about the very architecture of the digital world we are building for our kids. And look, this is not some high-level abstract debate, right? For parents, this is the real world. This is the dilemma playing out on the kitchen counter every single day. I mean, how relatable is this? I'm sure you felt it. The author shares this story of just floating a hopeful message into the parent group chat. Something like, hey, anyone else holding off on a smartphone? And the response? It's just a tidal wave of no. All of a sudden, your thoughtful, principled stand feels like you're sentencing your kid to complete social exile. And this is what we're told is the new normal we just have to accept. It's a world cooked up not by people who understand child development, but by tech giants who are, as the source puts it, basically Vegas casinos dressed up as apps. And suddenly, the weird thing to do is to be the one person who says, hang on a minute, maybe not. Okay, so all this anxiety, it's just exhausting, isn't it? So what if we flipped the script? Instead of just making a giant list of everything to avoid, what if we focused on what children actually need to truly thrive? And this is such a critical shift in thinking, right? It's about moving away from this endless, guilt-ridden list of digital don'ts and moving toward a positive, constructive framework that's actually built around the core psychological needs of a child. It's about knowing what the good stuff is, not just the bad. So to do that, our source material lays out this brilliant new map, a way to actually understand the essential components of a healthy childhood. It's called the 5 realms. Let's dive in. So think of these 5 realms like essential tiles in a mosaic. Each one is a core experience, from physical well-being to finding their voice, that every kid needs to build a complete picture of a healthy childhood. And of course, they all overlap and connect with each other. Okay, this slide is really cool because it shows how this all connects. If you think about the basic stuff kids need, you know, health, love, play, as the what, well, the 5 realms are the how. They give us a much deeper, richer language for understanding how those needs are actually met in real life. All right, let's start with realm 1, embodiment. A huge concept here is something called co-regulation. You know, you can't just tell a kid to calm down and expect it to work. We actually calm them down by lending them our calm nervous system. Through a hug, our tone of voice, just being there. It's not a behavior problem, it's a biological event. Now, for realm 2, relationality. This quote from Martin Buber just hits the nail on the head. All real living is meeting. A child truly becomes themselves when they are seen, really seen, by someone else. It's about that deep recognition, that feeling of being held in someone's mind with real care. That's how we are seen into being. Oh, and for realm 3, presence and play, this idea from Vygotsky is a total game changer. It reminds us that play isn't just a silly distraction. It's actually the place where a child stretches into their future self, where they rehearse abilities they don't even have yet. It is literally a laboratory of thought. And this is a perfect way to think about Realm 4, meaning and voice. When a kid tells you some long, rambling story or shouts, "That's not fair," they're not just communicating. They are actively, in that moment, building who they are sentence by sentence. They're practicing freedom. And finally, we get to Realm 5, safety and becoming. And I absolutely love this metaphor. It's like Ariadne's thread in the labyrinth. Safety isn't about avoiding the maze of growing up. It's that invisible promise, that thread, that lets a child explore, take risks, and find their own way, because they know they won't be abandoned if they get lost. Okay, so now we have our 5 realms, right? This is the blueprint for healthy childhood. So what happens when that blueprint slams right into the world of digital design? And here's the first point of impact. A child's body needs rhythm. It needs cycles of running and resting, of deep focus and letting go. But digital design, it's like a bulldozer to those rhythms. Endless scrolls, constant notifications, it just flattens time, leaving kids feeling restless in their bodies and totally wired in their brains. Next up, you have this deep, fundamental human need to be seen, and it collides with the incredibly shallow economy of likes. A child's worth is not a number, but these platforms reduce their very identity to a metric, trading the warmth of a real-life gaze for the cold, empty validation of a dashboard. Think about it. Real play is expansive, it's creative, it's liberating. But so many apps and games, they're not really designed for play at all. They're designed with addictive, engineered reward loops specifically to harvest attention. They leave a child feeling drained, not energized. And what about a child's voice? That unique, authentic, developing voice, it just gets flattened by platforms that reward sameness. Nuance gets lost to an emoji. Complex stories get squeezed into 15-second clips. The system doesn't reward authenticity, it rewards speed and imitation. So when you start seeing all these collisions, one after another, it becomes crystal clear. This is not just some personal parenting struggle anymore. This is a public fight, a fight for the future of childhood. And here's the crucial point. Leaving individual parents to fight against these billion-dollar industries engineered to hook their kids, that is not a fair fight. The source has a name for this. It's not parenting paranoia. It's a design crime. And listen, the solution isn't to just bury parents in more complicated control menus. The real solution is public accountability. It means actually passing laws that force tech to bend to children's needs, not the other way around. I mean, we regulate car seats in playgrounds, right? This is no different. I mean, let's just be absolutely clear about what we're talking about here. A child's fundamental need for rhythm, for recognition, for play, for voice, and for safety, those things are not negotiable. Their imagination, their attention, their very development should not be raw material for someone else's profit. And so, this is the question that leaves us with. It's right there in front of us. We know what children need. And we can see, plain as day, how digital design often works against those needs. This isn't an individual problem to solve. It's a collective responsibility. So, who will defend it?
For me, the starting point of this discussion around AI and childhood is asking, where are our barriers as humans for our children? And I hope this isn't a given, or I wish it was. I hope this isn't just assumed, but rather it needs to be said. And my small contribution is not anti-AI, but rather setting the scene for how I think AI needs to fit in with our children. Does that make sense? About let's bear these things in mind as our starting points. I want to say that as a shortcut to all of the discussions which my teams and I have around inclusion and AI is that I think that one of the ways forward is that we use AI to support our teachers and the adults around the child as our starting points, as opposed to creating yet more digital time for children. This way, we can free up the adults around the child to interface with the children, and I'm going to show you 4 ways in which we're doing that around the world. This is a summary of the video which we've, it's nice what AI can do. That's beautiful, I thought. Beautiful. So these are the 4 things I'm going to share with you. The average teacher around the world, and I have to say it does vary from country to country, is working about 51 hours, of which about half of that is taken up with marking, preparation, putting together lesson plans, and all different types of details for that. Now imagine if AI could be used to massively, significantly undercut that, so that a teacher is no longer just doing the preparation and the marking and spending all of those hours, but instead use that time to get to know children even better. That would be amazing, and that would be a game changer both for teachers. I mean, am I right in saying that universally the #1 and most annoying thing for teachers is having to do the marking and preparing and all of these sort of things? It's hard. The good stuff is speaking with children, actually. And actually the children, all of the research suggests that it's the interface between teachers and children, which is what children get the most from their teachers. It's not yet even more better preparation or yet another exam. It's this kind of thing. So this is going on in a number of different places. The most effective that I've seen is a company in China, which is actually the largest education company in the world, interestingly enough. They're worth about 50 billion. And the CTO, the Chief Technical Officer, came with us to the G20 where we spoke about this in Brazil last year. And what they've done is they've created, unfortunately, it's only in Mandarin. They don't have it in any other language. But they have this way that the teacher doesn't need to do any paperwork at all for anything. And I think that's just absolutely amazing. And I think that will filter into other countries. Unfortunately, they're not bringing it to other countries. You're giving me a 5-minute head. Yeah, I'll get there. Okay, so that's #1. I think that's a really interesting area. And Nasser, we were talking about that last night. I think this is a really interesting frontier. And I really hope for the Beacon House group, you'll find a way of cutting down the administrative burden for teachers. They will love you for that. The second is the AI support buddy. So we've put into all of our training courses, which are being used in 80 different countries, and some at a national scale, we have an AI buddy, which is actually just being made right now. In fact, there are meetings with Google head office right now about it. So all of our platform is Google Classroom, and Google are very excited about this. The idea that every teacher who's doing our course will have a buddy that they can speak to, like an AI person. And so imagine you have a teacher who's in some village in the middle of Pakistan that neither of us have heard of. And they're learning about ADHD. And they've got some basic questions. They said, hang on, this is what the course said, but I don't understand this. Can you explain this bit? Who are they going to ask? And so the idea of having that kind of buddy is potentially revolutionary. And so that's an amazing thing that's happening right now. It should be online in January. I did this initial calculation for the education minister in Indonesia, but here's a calculation for Pakistan. How many education psychologists, speech and language therapists, and occupational therapists would you need in Pakistan? So with a population of 255 million, you'd need this many. I don't need to read it out, but you can see 8,500 occupational therapists at the bottom there. And so how much is that going to cost? Well, just the very first year of recruitment into training is going to cost you $119 million, and it will cost you $357 million. That's if they all decide to stay in Pakistan and not go elsewhere and get paid even more. I would suggest to you that it's never, ever going to happen, ever. And so there needs to be a solution, and the solution is that, and this is the one that we're working on at the moment with Google, and it's almost ready, which is that you can speak to a bot on your phone, and in that bot is all of the advice that myself and my team and all of the experts that we're involved with have inputted into answering all of parents and teachers' questions about their concerns for their children. of putting in, thousands of books and papers from education, psychology, research, and so on and so forth. And so now you can ask this AI bot, hey, I'm worried about my child. It seems like they have no friends. What do I do? Yeah? And for the first time, we should be able to make advice and support for countries all over the world in any language at almost cost, at minimum cost. It's never been done before. And without AI, we couldn't do that. But don't you think that's absolutely unbelievable? Next. This is really cool. The idea of imagine your child is using a laptop, and as they are typing, the laptop spots all different types of learning that the child is doing, whether they're dyslexic, whether they have speech and language issues, whether there is autistic spectrum stuff that you can indicate. Now, this is early doors technology, but this is something we're developing at the moment as well. That's an amazing way, and the idea that the laptop should be able to automatically adjust in the moment to meet the child's needs is unbelievable. There are lots of different types of programs like this which are being evolved, but this is a really interesting frontier. Here in this session, we talked about what children need for a nourishing childhood, whether AI can help with any of that or not, and I suggested that the focus should really be on teachers. And the cutting-edge exploration of harnessing AI, we looked at a number of different examples. I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss one because I thought there were 4. AI-supported laptop, the idea of developing specialist services all over the world, AI-supported buddy, and the idea of transforming the admin for teachers. What was that? AI saving the teacher and adults around the child time so they can have more focus on the child. I hope that is one of the outcomes of this particular event. And here's that link to that book if you're at all interested in some of the research that was done from specialists around the world. Not sure what that noise is. I did ask AI what to say in this talk, and I thought I'd just show you. It said the following. And I don't agree with any of that, which is an example of how AI is not quite there yet in terms of innovative thinking and forward thinking. I just want to end by saying once again, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and congratulations to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel Sobel. This was truly path-breaking in terms of setting the directions of our mind at the right trajectory. We need to harness AI to our advantage. We can't leave it to our children to use it to our destruction and the destruction of their real potential. I was told by a colleague about parental involvement in raising good children. It's not a parental advice, but in the age of AI, it's good to share ideas. One thought that came up was to spend more time with them. And we have observed as teachers that when we talk about spending more time with them, our idea of spending more time with them is to have our mobile with us and let them have their mobile with them, and then we sit together and pretend that we're having, spending time together. We need to really demobilize our existence. And the third hand that we carry in our hand, which is the mobile, all the time needs to be detached from our body, and then we have conversations with our children, real conversations. The other idea is to push them deeply into sports and be there with them when they're acquiring sporting skills. It's going to be time intensive, labor intensive, resource intensive, but minus that, you will only be outsourcing parenting to AI and the third hand that I referred to, the so-called smartphone. Smartphones are not smart at all. It is just they're smart because we think they allow us me time at the expense of our parenting responsibilities. But anyways, these are wonderful thoughts, and I love the idea of a computer adjusting to a special child's need as the child types on that computer or uses that machine, the machine adjusts to it. So in a way, it's a pointer to us that we need to adjust to the new reality and adjust our parenting module as well, according to the needs of our children. Anyways, so we had another event, but I think that has been declared null and void because the gentleman who was invited apparently couldn't make it on time. We will now be closing this part of the session, but not before announcing the exhibition which lies ahead. This is the exhibition called Mind-Bind Rethinking Reality. So the mind-bind is not really binding your minds. It allows your mind to think in an immersive way. So the exhibition is out there. It is led by and created by Qasim Kasuri and Rashid Rana, and curated by Rashid Rana, Risham Sayyed, and Walid Zafar. And as the narrative says, it allows you to reimagine reality through interactive installations, data visualizations, and immersive environments that challenge traditional ideas of creativity and knowledge. So the exhibition is open, it's out there. Kindly do visit and enjoy the experience, and we will let you know when the next session will start. Immediately, we now close this session and invite you to the exhibition. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much for your time.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the 19th edition of SOT Events, Co-Creating Tomorrow, Humans, AI and the Future. The SOT Events series was launched by Beacon House 25 years ago to engage global communities in conversations that shape the future of schools and societies. We would like to thank our platinum sponsor, UBL, and our gold sponsor, Allied Bank, for their generous support. We also extend our appreciation to all our other sponsors. My name is Rima, and I am an AI announcer for SOT Events. Please take a moment to